Call this meeting back to order from the recess. We've already had the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. Do we have any citizen concerns? Hearing none, can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
So, second.
Motion by Reddick, second by Taylor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Following is a consent agenda. Items 6 through 10 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 6, approval of the minutes of the April 24, 2018 meeting. Item 7, approval of claims. Item 8, board administration. 8A is approval of lifting a tax suspension for initials RM. Item 8B, approval of resolution thanking and commending Dennis Wilson for years of service. Item 9A, human resources, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. B, approval of request to deauthorize county positions. C, authorization to initiate hiring process. D, approval of retiree request to have the health insurance plan. And E, approval of Title VI non-discrimination assurances in compliance with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Item 10 is board administration, approval of setting a public hearing for fiscal year 2018 budget amendment for May 29th, 2018 at 4:45 p.m. End of consent agenda. I will motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Ung. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 11, presentation of resolution thanking and commending Mona Scaletta for years of service with Woodbury County. Mona, would you come up to the podium, please? And I will read this from here. A resolution thanking and commending Mona Scaletta for her service to Woodbury County. Whereas Mona Scaletta has capably served Woodbury County as an employee of the Siouxland District Health Department for 34 years, from January 23, 1984 to May 11, 2018. Whereas the service given by Mona Scaletta as a Woodbury County employee has been characterized by her dedication to the best interests of the citizens of Woodbury County. And now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Woodbury County, Iowa, that the undersigned members of this board thanks and commends Mona Scaletta for her years of service to Woodbury County. And be it further resolved that it is the wish of those signing below that the future hold only the best for this very deserving person, Mona Scaletta. Be it so resolved the 3rd day of April 2018. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you, Board.
Item 12, secondary roads, Mark Nera. Receive and consider quotes for supply of a 10 foot by 6 foot precast box culvert structure number 0-91.
Good morning. We received 2 quotes in the office for this precast box. One from Hancock Concrete Products for $36,345.19. The second one from Semcast Pipe and Culvert for $43,456. Recommend award of the quotation to Hancock for $36,345.19.
I'll move that.
Motion by
Second.
Radig, second by Ung. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Reports on committee meetings. I bet our Centennial Committee has something.
In connection with the Historical Committee, The other day, Lisa McNeil led a group of 10 volunteers, myself included, on training for giving the courthouse tours during Thursday and Friday. Just wanted to compliment her and her expertise and her knowledge she shared. It really helped. And I think it will help going forward to have a group of those volunteers to draw upon. Really, even skipping through the stations in the courthouse, it was easy to fill up an hour. So there's a lot that you can see just beyond the basement here in the rotunda. And it's also a handicap accessible tour. Just so everyone's aware, there is, routing, and, we make sure to use the right elevators because there's some older ones and some more narrow ones here in this courthouse.
Sir?
And just along the same lines with the Historic Committee, we had a presentation by Brian Johnson at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center of the amazing process that he went through. He's a Texas State University artist and is originally from Akron, Iowa, and had collaborated originally with our police chief, Rex Mueller. But that poster, not poster, I get in trouble for saying poster, that print, which is an original design in which he has made 100 signed copies of, is available for sale. But just encourage you, we'll try to potentially put maybe some photos and video of that in the future, and I think it was an amazing thing. So, and that's on display upstairs.
An exciting week and a lot of work by all involved. I want to thank these gentlemen, Lisa McNeil, Judge Walsh. I can't name them all. I feel like I'm sitting at a Oscar nomination trying to remember everybody that's on the list to thank for this, but I know it's been countless hours and there's been probably sleepless nights and excitement at the same time to get this put together and executed. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Marty, Keith? Do we have any other citizen concerns?
Gentlemen, my name is Harold Postma. I, years ago, was a Sioux County attorney, and I want to address a couple of things that involve this courthouse and your difficulties with the Sioux Rivers thing. First of all, I have lots of respect for the common people of Sioux County, but I have learned, sadly, the truth is that some of the upper crust of Sioux County takes the law into their own hands. The former Chief Judge Jim Kelly referred to it jokingly as the common law of Sioux County. And last week it made headlines that the sheriff and the county attorney had finally decided to cave in and obey federal law by abandoning their sanctuary status as a county only because there was money at stake. But they aren't going to do it until July 1. The reason that I'm addressing this is that Shane Walter, I tried to get an audit done of Sioux County, and their own auditor cited him for illegal purchases from his relative in consecutive years and warned them to stop, and yet they continued to do so. If you have an audit done, the state auditor will not really do an audit except to cover up for what Sioux County has done. And so if you need to have an audit done of the Sioux Rivers, when you separate, it has to be done by somebody independently in order to have a really valid audit. Because I've had experience twice in trying to get the state auditor to do something, and in both times all they did was cover up for things that were going on in Sioux County. Also in connection with Sioux Rivers, there's a headline in the opinion page saying that you folks should avoid litigation. And I have talked privately with a couple of you about that, and the more I think about it, the more I think, well, Sioux County really never obeys the law on anything unless they're forced to, and maybe the solution is just to toll the 30-day time limit that you need to do, but to work out an agreement like school districts do for shared whatever and proceed to comply with the state law by having a shared arrangement with Rolling Hills for a year where you share management but take care of the concerns of mental health for the citizens of Woodbury County for that year, so that the state really can't challenge your arrangement with anybody because you're technically a part of some organization yet of some other counties. That's just my suggestion. The other thing is that you've had a rededication here of your courthouse, and because they didn't like an honest person who was trying to follow the law in Sioux County, they had not only gotten rid of me as county attorney with some underhanded tactics, but they weren't satisfied with that, and they went after me to get my law license. And I had heard rumors that they were going to do this from people, but the hearing to take my law license was held in this courthouse, upstairs in one of the courtrooms. And the two people that testified against me were the so-called victim, who testified that because I had talked to him about a couple of things and done like a half-page lease for storage of vehicles in a building, that I was his attorney for life. What they failed to disclose is that his attorney, who also appeared with him, both wearing dark glasses, was the son of the mafia godfather, Frank Zito from Springfield, Illinois, who was responsible for several deaths and lots of corruption. And just before the hearing, the Judge Branco, who in this courthouse had signed an order that stopped the extortion that was going on against us, we were in a business together, and they wouldn't sign, this guy wouldn't sign the checks to do anything, and we couldn't pay the employees, and Judge Branco released the money. Judge Branco mysteriously died in Ida Grove. And I have serious questions about how that happened when this mafia person, if you look it up on the internet, his family was involved in several murders. It says right there in the internet that the Chicago papers said that his family was paying the police there locally in Springfield, Illinois, somewhere around $10,000 a month in the 1940s, and so nobody was ever going to touch him because he was the Teflon Don. I ended up having, because I started to find out about this stuff, I came here to the courthouse, I talked to the county attorney, Rick Mullen, I talked to an assistant, and I talked to a secretary on 3 different occasions, and they all indicated to me that yes, this was perjury because this so-called victim who had helped to start the extortion and eventually acquired this Zito as an attorney was in fact not using me as an attorney at all, but the Administrative Ethics and Conduct, Norman Bastmeyer from Orange City, in a partnership with Clay Bastmeyer and Veldhuizen, had been their attorneys for 40 years. There's umpteen documents for a corporation on file. There's all kinds of deeds, including the one notarized by Norman Bastmeyer. When I showed this to them, then they said, yes, this is perjury, but if we do something, they're going to turn around and go after us. So I proceeded to file the charges myself in a complaint, and the day that I did that, Mark Campbell, who is now your first assistant, went to a judge and said that I had never been there, never talked to anybody in their office, and a bunch of other lies, and had the charges dismissed. And so then they had the sheriff of Sioux County serve me with papers after they beat me up with 15 policemen on the main street of Lamar's, Iowa. So then to cover that up, they ordered my DOT records, my driver's license, and said that that was a legitimate ordeal. It's taken me over 20 years to get the DOT to release my records to show that that was a kidnapping, a Class A felony, and the corruption continued with Lisa McNeil. This is a letter I wrote yet in 2012 to Judge Hoffmeyer, never been answered, about Lisa McNeil blocking us from hearings in the courthouse. They even arrested me in the federal courthouse one time and passed me back and forth between the federal and the court system without anybody giving me a hearing on the merits. They've seized my property, my wife's property, the office building in downtown Orange City, all without a hearing, all illegally, but the court system covers it up. And what's on the front page of the Sioux City Journal on Sunday about this judge? Well, he was the one that they called in and said, well, hey, you give Harold a hearing. So I sat 30 days in the Plymouth County Jail before they gave me a hearing, and then he let me out, and then he said, oh, there's nothing to this, and covered it all up. What's on the front page of the Sioux City Journal on Sunday is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to go to the court system, why, Sioux County has political power that's unmatched any place because they deliver 87% Republican votes every year. And anyway, I don't know if you want to continue on with Mr. Campbell on your payroll. That's up to you, but it's time for this to stop. You rededicated the courthouse. I'm not here to overturn the money changers' tables like Christ did at the temple, but if we're going to have law and order, then policemen, people like Lisa McNeil, and the judges have to obey the law as well. They're all under the same laws that we are. And anyway, I bring this to your attention because, you know, it is law day today, and anyway, I don't know what you want to do about it. You can pass resolutions or talk to the county attorney or anything else that you want or whatever, but these people right here in this courthouse committed perjury twice, and that kind of stuff has to stop. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Do we have any other citizen concerns? Board concerns?
Just have one, Mr. Chair. Just a quick reminder that at noon there is a historic architect who will be presenting. It is a lunch and learn, so that gives you about 8.5 minutes to grab whatever you would like, but please feel free to be partaking while you're in the rotunda. It should be very educational, and appreciate everyone's hard work and efforts.
Thank you. Marty, Keith? We are adjourned.